In modern times, Christmas is a major celebration of merriment and good company. The one thing it shares with Victorian times is lots of good eating. Food was an important part of a working-class Victorian Christmas, so we thought that remembering working-class Christmas feasts in Victorian England would be a delicious learning experience. The modern Christmas enjoyed by many today has its roots in Victorian Christmas traditions. This includes various meals which we now serve at the holiday table. A Victorian Christmas was a time for celebrating with family, though depending upon your social status, what appeared on the Christmas table would be quite different from one family to the next. Contrary to what we think of as a Victorian lifestyle today, it's important to remember that only 1 to 2% of Victorian England belonged to the upper classes, while approximately 15% were in the middle classes. The overwhelming majority of people at the time were members of the working classes, which was over 80% of people living in Victorian England. During the Victorian era, up to 2/3 of working-class families were living at or below the poverty line at any given time, which meant many people struggled each day finding food to sustain their existence. So, it is remarkable to note that Christmas was still a very special occasion for the working classes, who made great effort to ensure this was a unique day of plenty in their lives. So, what did the working classes serve at their Christmas feasts? Let us now present the Christmas meals they served despite challenging circumstances. Victorian Christmas dinners for the working classes. Most families living during Victorian times were not wealthy. Despite their modest means, poor families in Victorian England wished to celebrate Christmas with as much joy and comfort as they could afford. Though similar to modern times, financial resources dictated what could be served on this special occasion. As a result, their food options had to be more frugal than the upper classes. If a family was fortunate enough to have saved from their meager wages during the year, a goose would be on the festive table, just as in medieval times. Another way to obtain the Christmas goose would be through goose clubs. With membership in these clubs, they contributed money from their wages throughout the year for a goose to be obtained at Christmas. Families would then prepare the goose by roasting, usually with an open fire. Those without a means to cook their meat would prepare it at home before taking it to a baker's shop on Christmas morning to be cooked. Goose would often be served with applesauce and mashed potatoes. Other foods served with a working-class Christmas meal included root vegetables like parsnips and carrots. However, those with even less compensation, such as farm laborers that could not afford goose, had to make do with other options. In some instances, employers would offer their laborers either a goose, meat, or meals as a Christmas gift. Nevertheless, in most cases, rural and urban poor families did not have this option of an employer's gift. In these circumstances, oysters would be another option for the festive table, often called the poor man's protein. There were plenty available and oysters were inexpensive. Fresh oysters could even be purchased from street vendors. Unfortunately, even oysters were beyond the financial reach of many families. In these situations, if some kind of domestic game or animals such as rabbits could not be obtained, there would be no meat on the Christmas table. It is interesting to note, according to some historians, that prison inmates often received a Christmas meal of beef, plum pudding, and potatoes from funds contributed by benefactors. Victorian working class Christmas desserts. Christmas desserts for the Victorian working classes included plum pudding and Christmas pudding, which was made with beef, prunes, and raisins. The mixture for a Christmas pudding was created and stirred for days in advance so it would mature on Christmas Day. Fermenty or figgy pudding was another Victorian dessert which was served even during medieval times. It consisted of a thick grain porridge to which one added currant, dried fruit, and eggs. If it could be afforded, spices like cinnamon or nutmeg were added. Before serving, fermenty had to cool and set. Let us not forget the famous Christmas dessert of mince pies. The use of minced meat in these pies was discontinued around the late 1800s. Their customary ingredients included fruits and expensive spices like cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg. For centuries, it has been considered to bring good luck if a person ate one mince pie on each of the 12 days of the Christmas season. Victorian Christmas drinks for the working classes. With all of this feasting, Victorian working class families needed drinks to consume. Ale was a common Christmas drink for these households. Another seasonal drink was purl, a mulled ale mixture. This heated beverage contained gin, sugar, and spices like ginger. It was sold from boats on the Thames by licensed persons called purlmen. By the end of the Victorian era, consumption of purl had decreased significantly. Pearl Royal was a variation which used wine as its base instead of ale. Bishop Punch was a hot mulled wine flavored with sugar, oranges, and spices. There were also other kinds of gin punches consumed. Wassail, which means in good health, was a popular consumed beverage at Christmas while singing carols and wishing people good health. It consisted of a hot mulled cider or ale with spices like cinnamon or nutmeg added to it. Today, the Christmas season is a time of gift-giving, great food, and merriment. During the Victorian era in England, it was a time for celebrating with your family and close relations. Regardless of social status, each household did its best to celebrate this important occasion. Christmas was a time of year when showing goodwill to other people was at its highest. This is the lesson of a Victorian working-class Christmas feast that we should continue to remember for years to come. Thank you for supporting us at Victorian to Modern. Please be sure to watch our next episode or one shown at the end of this video. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and spread the word about this channel so we can create more exciting content. I wish you good tidings as we remember that sharing knowledge has been a noble deed throughout the ages.